Kickoff with TCL. Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
But every year you just want to give yourself a chance in the playoffs, and then when it clicks. And I use Philly as a great example. They lost Wentz that year, and Foles came in and was kind of struggling early, but all of a sudden he got hot at the right time and played his lights out, which ended up beating New England up here in the Super Bowl. So as long as you can give yourself a chance to get in the playoffs, and then let's see what happens from there.
Oh,
You brought up the Super Bowl that they didn't get into, and we're one from and Nick Foles. So wait, how can a guy? I got a question. Before we start, I got a question.
Yep, by all means, you're gonna. Yeah.
How can a GM who's had Sean Mannion as his backup QB for 2 years now, okay, reference what Philadelphia did when Carson Wentz got hurt with Nick Foles, who, by the way, has a lot of faults. But he is like he is an ideal backup guy to have, because if you have to plug and play, you can, right? How is he bringing that to me? That is damning. Like, he is basically self-reporting himself.
Well, there's so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack with that thing. So real quick, Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff, and we're gonna, the majority of this episode is going to be centered around what people have been dying for us to dive more into, and it's left guards. It's offensive line free agent candidates. And so we've got some names. There's some things happening. We're going to get to that. It's Kirk Cousins Appreciation Week on the show here on Purple Daily. Real quick before we tell you about seltzers and all those things, I hate the fact that Rick Spielman in that Pro Football Talk clip is using the lightning in a bottle example to like validate what the Vikings are doing here. Yeah. Well, I mean, that one team caught lightning in a bottle, so all you have to do is go 10-6 and get it. Now, by the way, they went 13-3, had a ferocious defense, and most notably had a star young quarterback on a rookie scale contract in Carson Wentz for the first 13 games of the regular season, and then Nick Foles took over and caught that was the lightning in a bottle part of it. So really, if the comparison there would be, hey, find your young quarterback that makes $5 million to the salary cap, build a great roster around it, and then hope that you get some luck in the playoffs too. It's not just, you just got to get in and see what happens.
And what did that team have as well? As I recall, an offensive line that kicked ass, like a really good offense. Like he's referencing something they're not even close to being.
Yeah.
And he references the Super Bowl that was played here, which, by the way, you could have been in.
Yeah.
That's like reminding you of your divorce or something. It's like, yeah, I'm looking for a wife just like your wife was. I mean, it was great how you guys had a great relationship till she cheated on you. Don't bring that up.
Oh, my God.
With the kids and got custody, too. Do you recall that? That's exactly what I wanted.
It was great. Well, whether the Vikings are whether we're cheersing Corona Hard Seltzers out of celebration or out of misery, Corona Hard Seltzer is the official hydration station for this show, Declan.
Yeah, I can tell you, if you're ranking these Corona Hard Seltzers, I mean, my Pat Mahomes is the Blackberry Lime. I don't have a Sean Mannion on this team. I don't have a Taylor Heineke on this team. I have 4 starters. I have 4 horses in the stable here, if you will, of Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, i.e. your tropical lime, your mango, your cherry, and your blackberry lime. Those are my 4 seltzers that I'm rolling with, because it's the only hard seltzer made with Pure Beach 5s, because Corona Hard Seltzer is a tasty spiked sparkling water with a splash of natural fruit flavor that allows you to enjoy the moment. In each can, Corona Hard Seltzer has 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 90 calories, and is gluten-free. Relax responsibly. Corona Hard Seltzer spiked sparkling water with natural flavors. Imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Also, congratulations to loyal listener Anthony Valento. He won $100 by using the Score North app today. Every day between now and March 26th, one person, because we're in a giving mood here all throughout the month of March, one person every day who opens the Score North app will win $100, and that person will also be entered to win a $10,000 prize pack from one of our 9 partners. Open the Score North app. It's free to download, register, and enter the Pick Your Prize contest.
Phil, I've been doing
rewards.
I've been doing this. Judd doesn't like it, but I keep pointing downwards. It's right in the comments, right below our bio. And I'm not insinuating anything else. I'm just saying it's literally right below us as you're watching the video. So you can enter right there.
It just looks very suspect.
Right on. Yeah, it's just he's pointing down below the fold, and
Yeah,
it looks a little creepy.
I think people can figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
It's clearly working.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's clearly working.
Declan, this is not a
registers,
Saturday
okay?
night with shots at the bar, okay? It's a family show.
Boys, let's give some love to the Vikings starting quarterback here as part of Kirk Cousins Appreciation Week. Y'all think we're Kirk haters and anti-Kirk Cousins? No, we are pro Super Bowl championship, and so we're going to be hard on the most influential and highest paid players on the roster. But this is a week to celebrate the Vikings quarterback. Yesterday, Declan put out an amazing Kirk Cousins. He's got one of the highest quarterback ratings in NFL history. How about this one? Okay, this is your Kirk Cousins Appreciation stat of the week. All-time completion percentage. Kirk Cousins ranks third, just behind Drew Brees and Deshaun Watson. That's right. Kirk Cousins has the third highest completion percentage in NFL history, 67%, just ahead of, this list is kind of hilarious, actually. Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins. Teddy Bridgewater is fourth on this list.
Obviously.
Check down Teddy.
Not surprised by that.
Chad Pennington is the fifth most accurate quarterback.
Oh, Chad Pennington.
Well, you could only throw 10 yards.
Noodle arm,
Yeah.
but he was accurate. He was a smart quarterback.
I feel like he tore his labrum 9 times. It was just still out there checking down.
Quarterback. At Marshall.
Right, he was.
He was Randy's guy.
Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Kurt Warner, Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers round out the list there. So Kirk Cousins, third all-time in completion percentage, and he's, yesterday, 6th all-time in passer rating. I don't know why you guys are so negative, why you're so hard on him every single week.
The stats are fantastic. The stats are absolutely great. I applaud. His statistical output is truly, truly inspirational to all that follow it.
It is. This list, but like, don't you love the fact this list literally has like 9 Hall of Famers, and then in the middle of it, it's Teddy Bridgewater, Chad Pennington, Kirk Cousins is not quite. I think Kirk Cousins is somewhere between like Chad Pennington and Drew Brees. He's probably the exact middle point between Chad Pennington and Drew Brees. But this is a hilarious list. So congratulations.
Chad Pennington, I liked him a lot. I think I owned him in fantasy for a couple of years.
There might be some old tweets exposed of Declan really liking some Chad Pennington that I might have to dig up.
Chad Pennington was not bad. Don't be down on yourself one bit. He was a very serviceable veteran, smart QB. You see, here's the thing. This league has changed so much that the Penningtons of the world used to be fine, right? Like now you're like, Chad Pennington, what the hell, right? But it wasn't that way before. This league has shifted so much, I would say, in the past 10 to 15 years as far as expectation of quarterback play. Like, think back to the 90s, Phil, and the guys that were like, oh, yeah, he's good, he's fine.
Yeah, dude, I remember thinking at times during like the T-Jack era, and I can't remember, it might have been like after Dante got hurt. I remember thinking, man, I wonder if the Vikings could get Chad Pennington come in here, throw some checkdowns, be great. Declan, are you finding tweets? Are you finding old Chad Pennington tweets?
No,
right
I wish, it actually segues perfectly because we're about to get into some offensive line targets, and another guard literally just hit the open market as we started recording.
Yeah, let's do it. Set us up.
Okay, so Tom Pelissero is reporting that Falcons guard, what do we got here? James Carpenter is leaving he's being cut by the Atlanta Falcons, and another guard will hit the open market for the Vikings to possibly target. The Falcons are releasing veteran guard James Carpenter. Source said that's according to Tom Pelissero, friend of the show. So another target for the Vikings to possibly bolster that line. So
that's a good. So we're going to bring a few offensive line names to you on this episode that are of note, but just some notes on James Carpenter. So 32 years old. This dude's 6'5", 320 pounds. He was drafted out of Alabama back in 2011. His PFF grades have not been kind the last few years. Okay. He is a left guard, and he is better than Dakota Dozier. So let's start there.
All right.
But he has been mostly below average overall in all blocking categories since 2016 when he was with the New York Jets. His peak was 2015-16. So it's possible that Carpenter is just sort of past the point where he would be a huge upgrade at left guard, but literally anyone would be an upgrade at left guard over what Dakota Dozier gave you last year. So
what's Carpenter's pass protection grade?
So on a 1 to 100 scale, And I think I want to say Dozier's was like 40 or like it's below 50. It's a train wreck. 61.9 last year, 46 in 2019, which was really bad. And then 72 in 2018. So again, better than Dakota Dozier, but he's going to be 32 years old. And I'm guessing you're probably not going to have to pay a ton of money to get James Carpenter, but he is an option. He is out there, former first-round pick. Here's a few other names for you guys. All right, I want to throw out two specifically that I think are interesting. One that you're going to maybe raise your eyebrows at because it would be an unconventional situation. But Brandon Scherf is now off the board. So for those of you scoring your left guard free agency options at home, Brandon Scherf, mostly a right guard. He was the top rated offensive guard according to Pro Football Focus, and Washington is going to franchise him. So he's off the board. Joe Thuney, who is the 13th overall free agent available according to PFF, is not going to be franchised by the Patriots. So he will hit free agency. Estimated he's going to get $14-15 million a year on a multi-year contract. Vikings have to clear a ton of space to make room for Joe Thuney. Okay, so I want to set it up by saying those were the two prime guys on the market in free agency. One of them not available anymore. The other one, you got to clear a lot of money, maybe even like an Anthony Barr or a Kirk Cousins restructure to even be in the conversation. I think the list for the Vikings realistically starts with this guy. Now that Scherf is off the board, this is the second highest graded offensive guard available, 96th overall free agent, Matt Feiler. I don't know how much you guys have paid attention to the Pittsburgh Steelers interior offensive line, but when you have a big, giant, immobile quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, you have to have some pretty good protection for sure in those middle three spots. And Matt Feiler is 29 years old, 75 pass blocking grade the last 2 years, according to Pro Football Focus, which is really, really good. He has been an above average player and at times even better than an above average player at the Vikings' weakest position of left guard. And Pro Football Focus estimates a 2-year, $12 million contract for him. I don't know. He's a huge guy. I don't know how well he fits into the Vikings zone run blocking scheme, but if you're just looking for a left guard to fill space and protect Kirk Cousins up the middle, this would be a huge, I think Thuney's better, but Matt Feiler would be a huge, huge upgrade over Dakota Dozier for a lot less money. Your thoughts?
Football.
I want to delve into what I think before we start talking about specifics of names, what I think is the most important part of this discussion and where I believe the Vikings need to pivot in what they're looking for, okay? Mm-hmm. So, Phil, you broached the topic of the zone blocking scheme, which is we want athletic guys that can pull, and we want them to get them downfield when Dalvin has the ball, because on second down and 18, we're going to run, and we want those athletic offensive linemen and especially the guards to be able to move. And this goes back to the draft. Is it now 3 or 4 years ago, where they had a high second round pick and there was a run on guards and linemen, and the Vikings passed on Will Hernandez, who was taken by the Giants because Will Hernandez, the Vikings said, was not a scheme fit. Okay, I'd like to shoot down scheme fits in this way. You need to, if your whole thing is we are willing to have Dakota Dozier start because how he looks and how he potentially can play, he'd not achieve it, is closer to what our scheme is, then you need to rethink your scheme ideas. So this can be, look, you can't have, and I'm going to defend him, you can't have Kirk Cousins be your QB and find a guy who can protect him and say, yeah, but that's not really how we play. We need, because we like to run on 3rd and 75, we need Dalvin Cook to have a guy that can be athletic enough to block for him. So I really think where this needs to become a very important discussion with Spielman and Zimmer and Clint Kubiak is this. Okay, your scheme's your scheme, and that's cool. That's fine. And I understand what you want to do. But that being said, part of the problem has been we've been plugging in pieces that frankly aren't very good just as a way because you eyeball them and say they fit my scheme. You have to, I mean, everyone who is successful does this. Adjust and adapt. And until you're willing to do that. So you're telling me Will Hernandez, who's a good football player, is not a scheme fit, can't play for my team. Okay, I don't like to look at it that way. Who can do the best job possible protecting Kirk Cousins?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, and especially the blind side, at the end of the day, Dalvin Cook's good, and Dalvin Cook can do what he can do. Kirk Cousins has liabilities that we've seen and that we know what those are. And so if you say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to plug in this left guard, Phil, because he can do what we need. Are you really thinking that through?
Yep. You know what?
Is a very intriguing and interesting part of this conversation.
I'm glad you brought this up because I will defend Rick Spielman for a lot of things. I think people, he's not a perfect general manager, but nope. General managers whiff on things. Bill Belichick has become a terrible drafter, right? Like, so I think Spielman by and large has done a great job for a decade plus building competitive rosters. Like this team almost always has a competitive roster. They're not really in danger of going 3-13 like some franchises. And so Rick deserves credit for that. One of the biggest holes in his game, I think, is how often he veers away from giving the quarterback, the most important position in professional sports, the resources that quarterback needs. So let's go back to Teddy Bridgewater for a second. The Vikings draft a first-round young potential franchise quarterback in Teddy Two Gloves. And this is now going back to 2013. A quarterback who in college played almost every snap exclusively out of shotgun and pistol formations, right? Sit back, spread the field, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers, clap my hands, snap me the ball, and let me survey everything from the get-go. I never really have to do traditional I formation, play action, etc. I'm always in command and surveying, and I'm driving the ball wherever I want to. He gets drafted by the Vikings, and rather than saying, all right, we got this guy, he's not comfortable with what we've been doing with Adrian Peterson is I formation or single setback, play action, under center, because that's the way like Peterson feels uncomfortable taking handoffs out of the pistol and the shotgun. So we got to go under center so we can get a full head of steam. And rather than saying, all right, this is a new era of Vikings football, a pass-centric era. We're going to put resources around the quarterback. We're going to run a scheme that he feels comfortable in. They said, Teddy, great to have you, buddy. This is awesome. So we know that you've never taken a snap in your life under center. So this is going to be weird, but like we needed to do that because Adrian's the show. And it kind of feels like they're doing something similar here in that, well, Dalvin Cook is the show because he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's one of the highest paid running backs. And, so I know, Kirk, you'd like to have better pass protection over here, but we need nimble offensive linemen that are run blocking first and centric, and then we'll worry about protecting you later, right? Like this has been a theme for Rick Spielman for a long time. It's not draft the best offensive linemen to block for your quarterback. It's not put the right scheme around your young quarterback to make him feel comfortable. It's literally let's just sort of let's see if they're a fit in the scheme that I want to run, regardless of talent level or whether it makes sense. So I'm glad you brought it up.
It's the coach though too, right? Because I mean, the coach is wed to the run. He is. Mm-hmm. I want to run. I've got AP. Now Cook, and this is where I'm very confused about what the conversations internally with this franchise are like, because the GM should say, Mike, okay, defensively you're good. Offensively, what you're doing does not resemble what anybody else who is successful is trying to do. And by the way, that does not mean you can't run the football, okay? That does not mean that you abandon the option completely.
Being Super Bowl. Like he might say, what do you mean? There's teams that win 10 games doing it this way.
I'm the GM. All I care about is championships. Like I am the guy who is supposed to look and say, you look short-term, that's cool, that's fine. I'm looking long-term, and by the way, I've got final say. Like, it's my say. And to win a championship, I am not telling you, Mike, that you can't run, because you certainly can. But I am telling you that this league is no longer geared towards that, and that we need to, when I get you a QB, we need to start with the premise of what can we do to make him successful, and then it all trickles down from there. Like, everyone else can have success too. That's great. That's cool. But if it's Teddy or if it's Kirk, and the thing that amazes me is you've now signed Kirk to 2 huge contracts And again, I'll defend him. I do not think, now, do I think that Kirk can win a championship, a Super Bowl? I personally don't. But what you need to do is you need to put him in the best position possible to at least fail that, to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you need to say, Kirk, I am going to give you every ingredient that you could possibly want and have. And instead, it's like the coach who I work with says, yeah, but what about the run game? What about Cook? What about, play action so great? And this is so great. And I would say, hold on a second here. Wait. We've got Thielen, who's still productive and good. Jefferson, a budding star. And by the way, we have him because you essentially, with your scheme and system, chased off the last guy who was a star. And just quickly, too, just an aside, because this drives me crazy now. Okay, Justin Jefferson's great, and he was a great find, and bravo to everyone who succeeded there. But can we please stop with, well, the Diggs thing turned out fine. You chased off a superstar. Okay,
You got lucky.
Right? But I mean, eventually that doesn't turn out fine. Like eventually, that's, oh my God, look at him and look at what we got. Right? So let's stop with Diggs being gone is just fine. What started that is not fine. Okay? So, but all of these things start with your quarterback. And again, I would say no matter what Clint Kubiak wants to do, if I am plugging in a scheme fit at left guard instead of the best damn left guard that I possibly can afford to get, I'm making a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I don't think you're going to be in the Thuney. Like, I think for you to get to that Thuney level of $14-15 million cleared out, you're saying goodbye, uncomfortable goodbyes, right? Like Anthony Barr, you're making a trade, you're restructuring Kirk and putting more money into age 35 season. And so Matt Feiler makes a lot of sense. I have another name that's not a guard, but he is an offensive lineman. And I want you to walk down this path with me for a second. Okay. And that name is brought to you by Wamatech. Our friends at Wamatech, a local company, are here to help you with your broken down phones, tablets, and laptops. Can't help you with a broken down left guard unless that guard has a broken phone, in which case Wamatech can help. It's great. So Wamatech is a trusted supplier of pre-owned cell phones, tablets, and laptops. You know, when the coach gets mad watching the offensive line film and slams the tablet to the ground.
Aaron Rodgers once slammed one down.
You might need a new one.
Broken.
So Wamatech sources pre-owned devices directly, and they pass the savings on to you. Wamatech, a local company that will take care of your technological needs. Buy, sell, trade in. Wamatech.com. That's WAMATEK.com. Okay, boys, we spent a lot of time talking about how bad Dakota Dozier is and how urgent the need to upgrade that position is. We don't spend a lot of time talking about how bad Garrett Bradbury also is. And Garrett Bradbury, the last couple of years, has been one of the worst pass blockers in the NFL. Now, he showed some signs of improvement last year, but Garrett Bradbury gets forklifted off the line of scrimmage on a regular basis and has largely not been very good at his job. So the guard pool of free agents is really thin. Of the top 100 overall free agent options, PFF only has like 3 guards in that mix. They've got a lot of centers, including 29-year-old Corey Linsley from Green Bay. Mm-hmm. He's graded as the best center in the NFL right now. I'm just going to read you what PFF says about Corey Linsley, and then we can walk down this path. Linsley is the best center on the market. He's been one of the most dependable pivot men in the league since 2014, and he's been at his best in 2020. Linsley has been outstanding in pass protection all season, allowing just 4 pressures on 437 pass blocking attempts in 2020. Let me repeat that. Think about how many times Kirk Cousins was running from his life due to up the middle pressure, like where the play is just over. When you're Kirk Cousins and there's immediate pressure up the middle, the play is over. On 437 pass blocking attempts last year, he allowed 4 pressures, and he's also a strong run blocker. You could make a case that if there are more, and by the way, there's just a smattering of good above average, in this case, elite centers in the NFL. I get that you're not just going to get rid of Bradbury because he still has a cap hit that is going to ding you, but would you wave the white flag on him? Would you admit that you whiffed on a first round pick for the sake of bringing in, and by the way, the projected contract here is 3 years, $33 million. So less than Joe Thuney is projected to get. So about $11 million a year. So it's actually fairly manageable. You could probably make some tweaks here and there and some restructures to Harrison Smith and some others. I would consider doing this. It doesn't fix your left guard problem, but maybe, I don't know. Can you get creative? Does Garrett Bradbury become a candidate to play some left guard too? Does he just become a backup and a swing guy? Does he become your Ryan Cook basically from 10 years ago?
Yeah, but the problem there is if you could put your pride aside and swallow hard, you would have a possibility there. But I mean, we are talking about a first round pick. And I think their move and why they need to, should, and likely will make some type of investment at left guard is because I think the hope and basically the prayer, because it's come down to that as far as pass protection goes, will be that a really solid left guard improves Bradbury at center. If Bradbury were a second or third round pick, I think there's a good chance he at least gets serious competition in 2021 for the job. But Phil, he's a first round pick, and
he's a very good run. He's a good run blocker. Yeah. He's a good run blocker.
But because of that, and because that pick was so forced, like that was for all of the BS about, we always draft the best player. It's on our board, best player, right? It's a bunch of crap. They often take guys that fit their immediate need. And in this case, that's why they took him. But I think with the circumstances surrounding him, their last real hope as far as Bradbury improving in pass protection is going to be that paying a left guard to come in and having that left guard, and then my guess is Cleveland at right guard still is going to stabilize Bradbury.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean that would be. I think in an ideal world, you would just go get a really good free agent left guard. You'd get one of the two remaining guys in the PFF top 100. And Bradbury would get better just playing with better left and right guards, and you would move forward, right? That would be the best play. But if you whiffed on these guards next week, if you whiffed on that's the thing. If you don't get Feiler or Thuney,
I think guards are going to be let go though.
And that's what you have to hope for too. Yeah.
Yeah. Teams are going to make cuts going in to this league year that they previously have not had to make.
Yep, you're 100% right.
And another offensive lineman has just entered the free agent pool as we're recording again. Kyle Long is returning to the NFL. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's 315 pounds. I believe he's 35 years old.
Yeah.
But he is returning to the NFL. Would he be willing to sign a little easy make good contract?
You know what though? That's just a hope signing though. I need more stability than that.
Yeah.
I don't need a guy coming back. Now, if he wants to sign and try and make it, that's fine. But we are talking about getting out of the damn kiddie pool here and diving into the adult pool and making a real move.
Yeah. I want to say, since we're this is sort of an audit, because what we're talking about is the Vikings' biggest flaw during the Rick Spielman era, which is they've had terrible pass protecting offensive lines. That is people talk about, we can't find a quarterback. I mean, Teddy will never know. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I think Spielman gets a little too much flack because of the ponder whiff, but I'm not saying he's a guru, but Kirk Cousins has been a good quarterback. Case Keenum was a find. He deserves some credit for Case Keenum. Bradford was fine in the season. The offensive line is the audit. This is the thing that he has been so bad at for so long. It's time to just find a solution at left guard. But the bigger, deeper rooted problem is that they can't develop the guys that they bring in. The fact that they've whiffed on, some of these mid-round guards that you see, Willie Beavers was a 4th-round pick, right? Dakota Dozier was a later-round pick. The fact that these guys come in and they're not even league average for a few years, and then you find the next one. They are unplayably bad at these positions. That's amazing to me. Garrett Bradbury and Dakota Dozier are two of the worst pass-blocking offensive linemen in the league. What does that say for your scouting abilities, for your development abilities? But these guys, you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, right? And you got two of the worst pass blocking offensive linemen in the NFL.
But it says this: they are honestly looking at players as what prototype fits what we do, not who's the best. It's clear. You would have to work to whiff this hard. What they are doing, though, is they are starting with the premise of our head coach likes to run. So who's athletic enough to help block for the run? Which if this was 1976 and I was wearing a disco shirt and really weird pants, would be awesome. Like, it'd be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Mike Zimmer. But it doesn't make sense. And you don't sign a quarterback to the contracts that they've signed Kirk to then say, but Kirk can fend for himself. Because that's sort of what they're saying. Because, Phil, you're right. This is so simple. The game has changed in a lot of ways, all right? But one is the interior pressure now is really good athletes, like it didn't used to be. And it's now guys that will kick your ass. They're huge men, but they can rush. And so instead of adjusting and saying, okay, Kirk can't handle that. By the way, lots of guys can't. That's not a Kirk thing. So what do we do? They say, yeah, but when we run the ball on 2nd and 14, who's going to block for Dalvin the best? That's really what they say. So it's that's what drives me nuts is nobody is sitting down and saying, we need to sort of rethink how we think this.
I just pulled it up, by the way, just for fun. So pressure is allowed by guards and centers.
That's not going to be fun.
Dakota Dozier led the NFL in interior pressures allowed with 46. Now that might not seem like a lot. You'd be like, oh, it's only like 3 a game. Okay, but if one of those ends a drive in the second half, or right, it matters over time. It's sort of like in baseball where, well, like an umpire only blows like 1 call every month or every 2 weeks. Yeah, well, like that costs a team a game, right? Yep. So he had 46 pressures allowed. The next worst offensive lineman interior was Zach Fulton from Houston, and he allowed 39. Garrett Bradbury he was 14th on the list of most pressures allowed on the interior with 29. And I'll tell you, like, you see a lot more pressures on the outside because you've got there's just these guys are coming at you from sometimes when defensive linemen or when the edge rushers, they'll line up, 5 yards out to the right to get a running head start to bull rush somebody. Mm-hmm. So when it happens on the interior, you're just getting like, you're in such close quarters. You're literally just getting manhandled back into the quarterback.
That's it, right.
And
you
these guys
of the quarterback in a split second there.
Yes.
Like there's no time to buy time.
Yes. Like at least on the edge, you can sort of backpedal your way and maybe like shift his direction or something. Not on the interior. So anyways, it's Kirk Cousins Appreciation Week. So we're working out the reasons why Kirk Cousins doesn't have the best chance with his interior offensive line being a train wreck. Anything else to add? I think we've thrown out a couple of interesting names. There's a couple names hit the market on the show that we're doing here today. So some solutions out there.
What, dude? You retired? Just stay.
He saw Dakota Dozier play, and he said, "I can do better than that," and that's what he's doing. What?
Just stay retired. It's a brutal sport. Don't come back.
Yeah, ask Brett Favre. I'd love Brett Favre to come back and play for someone. Who should sign Brett Favre?
He could, with that arm.
If he had an offensive line, yeah. If he had Dakota Dozier as his left guard, I think it'd be
Where would he be good? Because he'd have to play indoors or in the South.
Yeah.
What team? What like you wouldn't get 16 games out of him, but do you guys think legitimately if you said, all right, we're going to give you 2 months to warm up and to go through some practice and study a playbook, it'll be a playbook you're familiar with.
Oh yeah.
And we need 2 months of great play from you, including playoffs.
I got the team. Now they've solved their problem, but it would have been perfect. The Colts.
Wow. Just plug
indoors,
right in there.
Good team, right? Like there's a lot of qualities that the Colts could have used him for.
I love it.
I bet he still got the arm.
Let me see who are the best pass blocking offensive. Oh my God. The best pass blocking offensive line in the NFL. We should have known. The Cleveland Browns.
Oh,
come on. They got bigger.
If you subbed out Baker Mayfield for a 50-year-old gunslinger, come on.
No. Wintertime outdoors, though. You got to have him in the South or indoors.
So, well, I don't know. I think he's
actually that's the plan. The Favre home plan. So, like, if you're the Colts, you say, Brett, I need 8 games from you.
Just 8.
All indoors. Because we're not going to ask you to go outside and play.
Just 8 games. Wear your mega hat.
And then we'll have Carson wear your mega hat. Trump can go to the games. He's got plenty of free time.
Amazing. All right. That's a wrap on today's episode of Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment and accountability in your podcast feed. And also just before, if you're still hanging out with us here, it means that you like us, you really like us. We really appreciate when you click the subscribe button on our YouTube page and when you give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple. It helps spread the word about the show. And download that Score North app, a central hub for all of our Vikings content and Judd's written musings. So we'll do some more tomorrow. Write that down, predictions tomorrow. See you guys.